An elderly patient came into the hospital that couldn't talk. She was admitted to the general ward under close observation. The nurse noticed that every time she tried to talk to the patient, the old woman would make some strange eye movements. At first, the nurse thought it was because of her illness or medication. However, after careful observation, the nurse became suspicious. What did the patient's eyes mean? What was the nurse trying to figure out? Why did she have to go against her own colleagues? What kind of crime did they commit? Welcome to our channel where we bring you the most intriguing real-life crime stories. Before we begin, please subscribe so you don't miss out on any updates. In today's video, we will be reading a story from a Reddit user. So let's jump right into it. I work at a large trauma center in the city. Our facility is one of the busiest in the country. Due to this, all of the nurses float between the various floors depending on patient census. This particular assignment will be taking place on a surgical floor with many patients who have had major abdominal surgeries, meaning many patients are NPO, which stands for nothing by mouth, or at least require a diet progression post-op. I am also working with 2 other nurses and a tech on this shift. At the beginning of my shift, I'm getting report on my patients along with the day shift nurse. One of the patients we are discussing is an elderly female who's been admitted from a nursing home with a tentative diagnosis of bowel obstruction. As I walk into the room, I notice the patient's chart has a fall risk and a do not call unless absolutely necessary order. As I introduce myself to the patient, I'm giving her the standard admission overview and letting her know that I will be her nurse during this shift. I ask if she has any questions or concerns. She motions to me that she wants to speak with me, but when I move closer to the bed, she looks away. I thought maybe she just didn't want to talk yet, so I gave her some time. I come back later on and she tries again to get my attention. Still no talking. Only eye movement. As I start going through the plan of care, I notice the patient keeps making this weird eye movement. It seems to me that whenever I start speaking to her, she rolls her left eye back into her head and looks up to the ceiling. I'm finding it hard to believe that she is trying to tell me something by doing this. The day shift nurse says that she's probably having a reaction to her pain medication. We decide to wait and see if the behavior continues. It does. It's really strange. I couldn't find anything about this behavior in her chart, and there were no orders regarding it. Fast forward several hours. The patient is still making these weird eye movements. By now, I'm 100% sure that she's trying to communicate with me. She doesn't seem to be doing it in response to either of the other nurses. At this point, I've talked to every single patient on my assignment, and I haven't seen anyone else do this. I'm starting to wonder if this is related to hearing loss. I ask my charge nurse for permission to try sign language. She approves it, and I get in contact with the sign language interpreter service at the hospital. They send out an interpreter who happens to be deaf herself. She is wonderful. Within minutes of her arrival, she tells me that the patient is trying to say, "Help me." At this point, my mind is blown. I immediately call Adult Protective Services and let them know what I found out. While I'm on the phone, the interpreter is helping the patient eat and is chatting with her. The interpreter tells me that the patient is also saying thank you and that she is sorry for not speaking up sooner. When she told me that, I almost lost it. It occurred to me that she had been moved to this hospital from a nursing home. I asked the interpreter if she would stay around until the patient's family arrived. The patient becomes very agitated when she realizes I called the police. She starts yelling at me that I'm not helping her. But the interpreter calms her down and assures her that we will help her. Several hours later, both the police and Adult Protective Services show up to the hospital. The police end up arresting the patient's son. He admitted to regularly beating his mother and stealing from her. Adult Protective Services removed the patient from the nursing home and placed her into a new facility. It turns out the nursing home staff had reported the son to both APS and the police multiple times. I felt horrible for not believing the patient sooner, but my charge nurse assured me that I did everything correctly and that I saved this woman from further abuse. I ended up becoming friends with the interpreter, and we visit the patient together every now and then. After learning that she was in danger, the nurse knew she had to take action, but her colleagues didn't believe her. Even though the patient was obviously trying to convey something important to her, the nurse was disregarded. She had to fight for her patient and prove that something was wrong. This story is truly remarkable. The nurse's intuition and determination saved this patient's life. It is inspiring to see someone stand up for what they believe in and use their voice to help others. The nurse in this story should be commended for her bravery and commitment to justice. The patient was clearly in danger, and the nurse didn't hesitate to take action. Despite facing skepticism from her colleagues, she persisted in her belief that something was wrong and worked tirelessly to uncover the truth. The nurse's dedication to her patient is truly admirable, and her actions likely saved the patient from further harm. This story also highlights the importance of listening to those who may be vulnerable and unable to speak up for themselves. The patient was unable to communicate effectively, but the nurse took the time to listen and pay attention to her cues. This ultimately led to the discovery of the abuse and exploitation that she was suffering. The nurse's compassion and empathy played a crucial role in this case. She went above and beyond her duty to ensure the patient's safety and well-being. She could have easily dismissed the patient's nonverbal cues and assumed that she was simply reacting to her medication. But instead, she took the time to understand and respond to the patient's needs. It is also important to note the significance of cultural competence in this story. The nurse's ability to communicate effectively with the patient who was from a different culture was essential in uncovering her story. The nurse's willingness to learn and adapt her communication style to meet the patient's needs demonstrates the importance of cultural competence in healthcare. Overall, the nurse's actions in this story are a shining example of what it means to be a compassionate and dedicated healthcare professional. Her bravery in standing up for her patient and using her voice to expose injustice is truly inspiring. This story reminds us that sometimes those who are most vulnerable in our society need our help to speak up for themselves. And when we listen with empathy and understanding, we can make a real difference in their lives. But now, we want to hear from you. What do you think of the nurse in this story? Let us know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any updates. Thanks for watching.